What's up, y'all? It's Emile Ennis Jr. back here with Clevver News. And from Twilight to The Kissing Booth to High School Musical, the movies that we all loved weren't always necessarily loved back by the cast members. As an actor, you have to be able to take on a variety of personalities, motivations, and looks to play different roles. But certain celebs will always be known for playing their first iconic role, and while some actors embrace their first major character, others don't love just being known for their breakout role. Whether they hated their character, the script, or even just the attention that came along with it, these stars have spoken out against the movies that made them famous. And one star that's been making headlines recently for this reason is Jacob Elordi. While most of us can't get enough of the Kissing Booth movies, Jacob Elordi, who plays Noah in the series, recently revealed that he hasn't even seen The Kissing Booth 2. In an interview with Variety, a question about The Kissing Booth 2's ending came up, and Jacob wasn't shy about saying that he doesn't really know how it ended. He said, quote, "I haven't seen it, you've seen more than I have. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I haven't." Jacob also asked the interviewer whether or not they liked Kissing Booth 2. The reporter said, yeah, it was cute, but apparently he didn't believe them because he went on and said, be honest. The reporter said they liked it even better than the first one, and Jacob responded saying, quote, "That's so kind of you." And some fans took that as some subtle shade thrown at his own film. In the same interview, Jacob dissed Kissing Booth again by saying that he enjoys playing bad guys like his character in Euphoria better than characters like Noah. His co-star and ex-girlfriend Joey King then called him out saying, quote, "Jacob watched it, he's capping." But Jacob isn't the only celeb who's shaded movies that made them famous. Zac Efron has famously spoken out about how he still doesn't like just being known as Troy Bolton from High School Musical. And I know that's heartbreaking because we certainly love Troy, but Zac has made it very clear that he doesn't. He spoke to Men's Fitness about his teenage self saying, quote, "I step back and look at myself and I still want to kick that guy's ass sometimes. He does some kind of cool things with some cool people. He did that one thing that was funny, but I mean, he's still just that fucking kid from High School Musical." Zac went on and said that the fame that he got from the movies was not a real thing, and that when he looks in the mirror, he still sees that kid from High School Musical, looking back at himself. This year, Zac was the only High School Musical cast member to bail on the Disney sing-along. Zac ended up blaming not joining in with the rest of the cast because of a scheduling conflict, and he sent in a quick 30-second clip of himself instead. The jury's still out on whether there was actually a scheduling conflict or if Zac still just really dislikes looking back on his time in the franchise, but either way, it's clear that Jacob Elordi isn't alone as someone who doesn't love their original trilogy. Another actor who isn't crazy about their first major role is Robert Pattinson. I know these are all just one dagger to the heart after the next, and I hate to be the bearer of this bad news, but yeah, Robert wasn't crazy about his role as Edward Cullen in the Twilight series when looking back on it. There have been countless compilations put together of Robert slamming the series, the books, the author, and everything in between.
Did your Twilight experience turn out to be what you expected?
Oh, when I read it, it seemed like it was a book that wasn't supposed to be published.
It was so long.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and we were shooting it forever.
If Edward was not a fictional character and you just met him in reality, you know, he's one of those guys who'd be like an axe murderer.
In one interview, Robert was asked what he took from the set when he left, and he actually responded by saying, quote, "My dignity." And when another interviewer asked him if the ending of the Twilight series was bittersweet, Robert laughed and said, "For them, the fans." So yeah, he definitely hasn't held back when it comes to hating on the role that most people know him as. Plenty of other stars have hated some of their biggest roles too, though. Now, even though this wasn't the role that made her famous, Halle Berry hated one of her biggest roles from early on in her career, Catwoman. In 2005, she won a Razzie Award for the movie, and she brought her Best Actress Oscar from a few years earlier out on stage with her. After saying no, she didn't have to give her Oscar back. She slammed Catwoman and didn't hold back.
First of all, I want to thank Warner Brothers. Thank you for putting me in a piece of shit, god-awful movie.
And while Halle just seemed to hate the role, other female actresses look back on some of their first parts and hate the way they were portraying women. Megan Fox has been outspoken about her disdain of her role as Michaela Baines in Transformers. Most of her characterization involved her bending over cars while wearing revealing outfits and running in slow motion. Her co-star Shia LaBeouf even admitted to the LA Times that he knew Megan felt uncomfortable being associated with Michael Bay's portrayal of women. And Megan slammed Michael Bay in a Wonderland magazine interview saying, quote, "He's a nightmare to work with and he wants to be like Hitler on his sets." Megan didn't return to to the franchise after the second Transformers movie, and her rep told People magazine that, quote, it was her decision not to return. She wishes the franchise the best. But Megan wasn't the only actress who's had an issue with the way she's been portrayed in the film. Katherine Heigl has been outspoken about disliking her role in a movie that many fans loved, Knocked Up. When speaking to Vanity Fair about her role, Katherine said, quote, it was a little sexist. It paints the women as shrews, as humorless and uptight. I had a hard time with it on some days. I'm playing such a bitch. Why is she being such a killjoy? Why is this how you're portraying women? 98% of the time it was an amazing experience, but it was hard for me to love the movie. For one reason or another, not all actors love the movie roles that we love them for. Some of them have been very outspoken about why, while others have just avoided watching their movies altogether. But if you just can't get enough of this, click right over here to see which stars have dissed their own TV shows, and then let us know your thoughts on all of this down in the comment section below. I'm your host, Emile, Ennis Jr., and I'll see you soon right back here on Clevver News. Bye, guys.